have you ever walked through the ruins of your own efforts, felt the dust of shattered plans settle on your skin, and wondered if you were fundamentally broken? We live in a world obsessed with success, don't we? A relentless feed of triumphs, polished milestones, and effortless victories. Every scroll, every advertisement, every carefully curated life screams, you must win, you must achieve, you must never ever stumble. But what happens when you do? What happens when the carefully constructed edifice of your aspirations collapses, leaving you exposed to the harsh glare of reality? A missed promotion, a failed business, a relationship that crumbles into dust, a dream that fades before it even fully forms. The immediate instinct is to hide, to deny, to shrink from the sting of what the world calls failure. It feels like a brand, a scarlet letter marking you as insufficient, unworthy. In the blink of an eye, the narrative shifts. You were the promising talent, the visionary, the one destined for greatness. Now, you're just another statistic in the vast, unforgiving landscape of unmet expectations. The whispers start, often from within. I'm not good enough. I never was. This proves it. It's as if success and self-worth have made a silent pact to keep us running on a hamster wheel, terrified of falling off. And we go on, desperately trying to project an image of invincibility, even as our insides churn with the bitter taste of defeat. You feel that discomfort, don't you? That gnawing dread that tells you something is terribly wrong with this picture. As if we've been sold a lie, a shiny, airbrushed delusion where life is a perpetual upward climb and any deviation is a personal flaw. We're alive in the biological sense, breathing and moving, but our emotional lives become stunted, paralyzed by the fear of making a single misstep. We become functional but not whole, effective but not truly alive, because the potential for failure looms like a shadow over every choice. The tyranny of the perfect narrative. We are conditioned from birth to pursue a specific kind of narrative, the hero's journey, but only the part where the hero triumphs. We celebrate the comeback story, but rarely the messy, agonizing process of falling. We adore the phoenix rising from the ashes, but recoil from the acrid smell of the burning nest. This societal obsession with flawless success is a cage, one that traps us in a perpetual performance. We wear masks of competence, constantly editing our lives for public consumption, terrified of revealing the cracks. But real life, the raw, unfiltered human experience, is a symphony of both soaring highs and jarring lows. It's in the depths of those lows that something profound often happens. It's in the quiet aftermath of a spectacular crash that the most valuable lessons are often whispered. The problem isn't failure itself, it's our relationship with it. We treat it as an enemy, a disgrace, rather than a brutal, albeit essential teacher. Consider the child learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, they cry, they get up again. Each fall isn't a failure, it's data, it's information. It's part of the process of mastering a complex skill. Imagine if, after the first few tumbles, the child's parents said, "Well, you clearly can't walk. Better give up." Absurd, right? Yet, as adults, we often apply this very logic to our ambitions, our careers, our relationships. Failure as illumination. What if failure isn't the opposite of success, but an indispensable component of it? What if it's the uncomfortable friction that sharpens our minds, clarifies our purpose, and forces us to confront our assumptions? True understanding often emerges not from seamless execution, but from the messy process of trial and error, of trying something, seeing it crumble, and figuring out why. Every great invention, every scientific breakthrough, every artistic masterpiece is built upon a mountain of failed attempts. Edison didn't fail 10,000 times to create the light bulb. He found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work. Each non-working filament was not a defeat, but a piece of the puzzle, illuminating the path forward. This perspective demands a radical shift, to see failure not as a period, but as a comma, not as an end, but as a turn in the road. It forces us to ask critical questions. What did I learn? What assumptions did I hold that were incorrect? What part of myself needs to evolve? It's a brutal mirror, reflecting not just our shortcomings, but also our resilience, our adaptability, and our capacity for growth. The fear that paralyzes, but why is this so hard? Why do we recoil so violently from failure? Beyond the obvious practical setbacks, there's a deeper, more insidious fear at play. It's the fear of judgment, of being exposed as less than, of losing approval. It's the terror of the inner critic, amplified by the societal megaphone shouting, "I told you so." This fear often paralyzes us, keeping us in safe, mediocre orbits. We choose the known, the comfortable, the predictable, even if it stifles our spirit and prevents us from reaching our full potential. We cling to dead-end jobs, unfulfilling relationships, and uninspired lives, simply to avoid the risk of failure. We become the walking dead, functional but unfulfilled, because the alternative, true, daring, exposed living, comes with the possibility of falling flat on our face. This silent death, this self-imposed limitation, shocks no one. On the contrary, it's often rewarded with stability, approval, and a quiet sense of fitting in. But what is the cost of never truly trying, of never fully living? The regret of missed opportunities, the haunting specter of what if, the slow, invisible collapse of authenticity. Embracing the fall. The true act of courage, then, is not the avoidance of failure, but its acceptance and conscious embrace. It's the willingness to step into the arena, knowing you might fall. It's the choice to pursue a passion, launch a project, or love someone with your whole heart, even if the outcome is uncertain, because in that vulnerability, in that exposed state, lies the greatest potential for growth and the deepest sense of being alive. When you fail, genuinely fail, you strip away the layers of pretense. You discover what you're truly made of. You learn about your weaknesses, yes, but also your unforeseen strengths, your capacity to endure, to adapt, to rebuild. It's in those moments of brokenness that we often find an unexpected clarity, a direct line to our authentic self, uncluttered by the pressures of external validation. This doesn't mean seeking out failure or glorifying self-destruction. It means cultivating a mindset where failure is seen as a crucial feedback mechanism, a necessary detour on the road to mastery. It means developing the resilience to get back up, dust yourself off, and learn from the experience, rather than being defined by it. Building meaning from the rubble, the universe owes us nothing. No guaranteed success, no smooth path, no immunity from mistakes. It simply exists, vast, indifferent, and relentless. And for many, this realization is unbearable, because we've been taught that life has a predestined purpose, a hidden meaning waiting to be discovered that will justify all our pains and guide us to inevitable triumph. But if there is no pre-given cosmic meaning to success or failure, then everything depends on us. We are the creators, not of an absolute truth, but of an intimate, personal, conscious meaning derived from our experiences. Every act, every attempt, every fall, and every rise becomes an affirmation, a refusal of emptiness, a shout against the absurd. This means that even among the ruins of our failures, we can build something new, something that truly belongs to us. This requires a leap of radical responsibility. You can no longer outsource who you are. You cannot say, "Life wanted it this way," or "Society pushed me into this." From the moment you recognize failure as a potent teacher, everything you choose to do or not do becomes your creation. It is you who decides what matters, what is worth your time, your effort, your affection, your vital energy. And this freedom, though often terrifying, is the only possible path to an authentic existence. It is you who decides how you will interpret the fall. Will it be a condemnation or a crucible? Will it be the end of the road or a necessary detour? The stone will continue to roll down the mountain, but how you push it, how you face the descent, transforms everything. The act of carrying on with awareness, with intention, with presence, makes the absurd task a sacred ritual, an affirmation of your being. When we finally stop searching for a cosmic meaning to our setbacks, something strange happens. Instead of despair, we feel relief. Relief because at last, we no longer carry the weight of an impossible expectation. Relief because we no longer have to pretend that everything makes perfect sense. The void, that seemingly meaningless space where we once projected our hopes, becomes fertile ground, a clean terrain, free from the lies we were told about effortless success and constant triumph. It is there, in that devastated land, that true freedom is born, the freedom to be who you are, not what others expect you to be, the freedom to choose consciously, to act with presence, to live with intensity, knowing that each moment, each struggle, each fall is all there is. Failure isn't a death sentence. It's a chance. The chance to live authentically, to be present, to create beauty where there are ruins, to make your own existence an act of art. Now the choice is yours. You can continue living on autopilot, anesthetized by the fear of falling, pretending that everything makes sense in a neat, unbroken line. Or you can embrace the profound lessons of failure and live with courage. There is no script for a life without stumbles. There is no guaranteed destination. There is only the now and what you decide to do with it, including how you rise after you've fallen. The alchemy of ascent. When we left off, we had confronted the raw, uncomfortable truth about failure. We peeled back the layers of societal expectation and personal fear, seeing it not as a brand of shame, but as a brutal, often necessary teacher. But acknowledging the fall is only the beginning. The real work, the true alchemy, happens in the ascent. Have you ever noticed how, after a significant setback, the world suddenly seems sharper, clearer? The distractions fade, the superficial concerns lose their grip, and what truly matters rises to the surface. It's as if failure strips away everything inessential, leaving you with the bare bones of your being. This isn't a comfortable process, it's a painful recalibration. But it's in this raw, exposed state that authentic growth begins. The immediate aftermath of failure often feels like a void, a meaningless space where plans once stood. But this void isn't an ending, it's a fertile ground. It's the blank canvas upon which you can paint a new reality, unburdened by past assumptions or the expectations that led to the collapse. This is where the magic truly happens, the transformation of rubble into bedrock, of setback into launchpad. The power of redefinition. We are constantly defining ourselves, often unconsciously, through our achievements and external validations. I am a successful entrepreneur. I am a loving partner. I am a valued employee. But what happens when those roles are stripped away by a failure? Who are you then? This question, terrifying as it may be, is an invitation to redefine yourself on your own terms, independent of external outcomes. Failure forces you to confront your core values. What truly drives you beyond the superficial chase for approval or material gain? Is it creativity, connection, resilience, integrity? When everything else crumbles, these underlying principles are what remain, shining a light on what you genuinely stand for. This painful clarity is a gift, allowing you to rebuild with intention, aligning your actions with your deepest truths. Consider the artist whose masterpiece is rejected, or the scientist whose hypothesis is disproven. For a moment, the world might feel as though it's ceased to spin. But if they persist, they don't simply repeat the old steps. They redefine their approach. They question their methods, expand their understanding, and innovate in ways they never would have if their initial attempts had been an effortless triumph. Failure, in this light, becomes a catalyst for reinvention, for developing a deeper mastery that success alone could never provide. The wisdom of the wound. There's a quiet wisdom that emerges from deep wounds, a knowing that can only be forged in the fire of experience. The person who has faced and moved through significant failure carries a unique strength, a certain gravitas. They understand the fragility of certainty, the resilience of the human spirit, and the profound lessons hidden within discomfort. This isn't about romanticizing suffering, but about acknowledging its transformative potential. When you embrace the lessons of failure, you develop resilience, not as a rigid shield, but as a flexible capacity to absorb shocks and adapt. You build empathy, understanding that everyone carries their own hidden struggles and setbacks. You cultivate humility, recognizing that true strength often lies in acknowledging vulnerability. This wisdom is not taught in textbooks or acquired through effortless victory. It's earned through the sweat, tears, and existential discomfort of confronting your own limitations and picking yourself back up. It's the difference between merely knowing something and understanding it in the very fibers of your being. Failure as a call to authenticity. The fear of failure often keeps us inauthentic. We perform, we conform, we silence our true voices to fit into molds, all to avoid the perceived humiliation of not measuring up. But when failure inevitably strikes, it shatters these facades. It forces a reckoning with who you truly are, beneath the layers of expectation and pretense. This moment of exposure, though terrifying, is a profound opportunity for authenticity. It's a chance to stop living a life dictated by others' approval and to start sculpting an existence that genuinely reflects your inner landscape. It's permission to be imperfect, to stumble, to learn aloud, and to forge a path that is uniquely, courageously your own. Living authentically in the wake of failure is not about a sudden dramatic transformation. It's about a series of small, deliberate choices to speak your truth, even if it's unpopular, to pursue your passion, even if the odds are stacked against you, to forgive yourself, even when others won't. It's about recognizing that the greatest failure isn't falling, but staying down, refusing to learn, and abandoning your true self out of fear. The unwritten script, your next chapter. The universe offers no fixed script, no guaranteed happy ending, and certainly no promise of uninterrupted success. It simply presents a dynamic, often chaotic, reality. But this absence of a pre-written story is not a condemnation. It is the ultimate act of freedom. It means you are the author, the director, and the lead character of your own unfolding narrative. Failure then becomes a plot twist, unexpected, challenging, but ultimately a catalyst for a more profound and interesting story. It's the moment when the old script is burned, and you are free to write the next chapter, not out of obligation or fear, but out of conscious creation. What will you build from the ruins? What new understanding will you forge from the ashes of disappointment? How will you redefine success, not as the absence of failure, but as the courage to keep moving, to keep creating, to keep living fully, even when the path is uncertain and the stakes are high? This journey isn't about reaching a destination where failure no longer exists. It's about cultivating the inner fortitude to face it, learn from it, and continue to ascend, not despite the falls, but often because of them. Your greatest power lies not in avoiding the void, but in learning to create meaning within it, to make your own existence an ever-evolving work of art. The rebellion of living. We've journeyed through the uncomfortable reality of failure and explored its power to redefine and illuminate. Now, in this final part, we arrive at the precipice of true action, the rebellion of living. This isn't a passive acceptance of fate, it's an active, conscious defiance against the silence of the indifferent universe, a bold declaration of your existence in the face of all absurdity. Have you ever felt a surge of defiant energy, a stubborn refusal to be crushed, even when everything around you screams surrender? That's the spark of true rebellion. It's not about overt acts of defiance against external authorities, but a profound internal revolution against the forces that seek to numb you, to define you by your falls, to strip you of your inherent capacity to create meaning. The world constantly tries to program you, to feed you scripts of what a good life looks like, a life often devoid of risk, discomfort, or genuine introspection. But the moment you embrace failure as a teacher, as a catalyst, you begin to break free from these imposed narratives. You realize that the greatest prison isn't a physical one, but the mental cage built from fear of judgment and the relentless pursuit of an impossible, flawless existence. The absurd hero, your own Sisyphus. Remember the myth of Sisyphus, the man condemned to eternally push a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down. We touched upon it, but let's dive deeper. Camus declared, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." This isn't a call to masochism or blind optimism. It's an invitation to recognize that true happiness, true freedom, can be found not in the outcome of the task, but in the conscious act of performing it. We all have our stones. They are the recurring challenges, the seemingly futile efforts, the dreams that keep slipping from our grasp. Your boulder might be a demanding career, a complex relationship, a persistent creative block, or the continuous effort of self-improvement. The universe doesn't care if you succeed or fail. The stone will roll down regardless, but your attitude toward the push changes everything. To imagine your Sisyphus happy is to embrace your task, whatever it may be, with lucidity and defiance. It means pushing the stone not out of blind hope for a final victory, but because you choose to push. It means finding dignity in the struggle itself, in the effort, in the sheer act of showing up again and again, knowing the cycle may repeat. This isn't resignation, it's a profound affirmation of life, despite its inherent meaninglessness. It's the realization that if the universe offers no inherent purpose, then the very act of striving becomes your purpose. Creating meaning in the void, This brings us to the core of the rebellion. If meaning is not given, then it must be created. This is the most powerful and terrifying proposition Camus offers. No higher power, no ancient text, no societal norm will hand you a ready-made reason for your existence. That responsibility falls squarely on your shoulders. This isn't an invitation to chaos, but a call to radical intention. Every choice, every action, every moment of presence becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. To love someone deeply, to create art for art's sake, to fight for justice with no promise of victory, to cultivate stillness in a noisy world. These are not small gestures. They are profound acts of meaning-making in a universe that offers none. The beauty of this perspective is that failure loses its sting as a final judgment. It becomes part of the raw material, the unexpected color, the challenging texture of your creation. A failed relationship becomes a profound lesson in love and loss, allowing you to build deeper connections in the future. A business collapse becomes the catalyst for an innovative new venture, born from hard-earned wisdom. The ruins are not the end, they are the fertile ground for something new, something yours. The call to live fully this rebellion is not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, persistent, and deeply personal. It's the conscious choice to live with presence, to feel deeply, to question relentlessly, and to refuse the comfortable anesthesia of routine and unexamined living. It's about being whole, embracing your triumphs and your failures, your joys and your sorrows as integral parts of your unique journey. You are not defined by your past falls, nor by a hypothetical future success. You are defined by your now, by the courage with which you face uncertainty, the grace with which you accept imperfection, and the relentless spirit with which you continue to create meaning, even when the world offers none. This isn't easy. It demands courage, vulnerability, and a relentless commitment to your own truth. But the alternative, the slow, silent death of the true self, is far more terrifying. To live without cosmic purpose is not a tragedy. It is the greatest act of freedom a human being can perform. It is the ultimate rebellion, to live fully, authentically, and intensely, simply because you choose to. The path is unwritten, the outcome uncertain, but the journey itself, infused with your conscious creation, is the ultimate meaning. Now, the choice is profoundly yours. Will you continue to seek meaning outside yourself, or will you bravely step into the void and forge your own? The rebellion of living begins in this very moment, with your next breath, your next thought, your next conscious action. If this final part has resonated with you, if it has sparked a sense of fierce freedom within you, share your thoughts below. What does this rebellion of living mean to you? How will you choose to create meaning in your own life, especially in the face of uncertainty and potential failure? Your voice is part of this vital conversation, and remember, this journey of awakening is continuous. Keep questioning, keep creating, keep living,